Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone's behavior left you feeling uneasy? Let's explore how recognizing certain signs can empower us to navigate challenging relationships with clarity and compassion. 7 signs you are dealing with an evil person. 1. Manipulative behavior. Have you ever felt like you're constantly questioning your own reality, as if someone is pulling the strings of your life behind the scenes? Let me share a personal story that might resonate with you. A few years ago, I had a close friend who always seemed to have my best interests at heart. Let's call her Sarah. Whenever I faced a problem, she was the first to offer advice, and she always knew exactly what to say to make me feel better. But over time, I started noticing a pattern. Sarah's advice often led me to make decisions that benefited her more than me. One day, I was offered a fantastic job opportunity in a different city. It was a dream job, but Sarah convinced me that it was too risky and that I'd be better off staying put. She said she was worried about me being alone in a new city, but deep down, I started to feel that her real concern was losing her influence over me. The turning point came when I discovered that Sarah had been spreading rumors about me to our mutual friends, subtly undermining my confidence and making me feel isolated. I realized she was using gaslighting techniques, making me doubt my own decisions and sanity. She had been guilt-tripping me, distorting facts, and lying to keep me under her control. Once I understood what was happening, I confronted Sarah and distanced myself from her toxic influence. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary for my mental health and personal growth. I sought support from friends and family who truly cared about me and began rebuilding my confidence. If you suspect that someone in your life is manipulative, pay attention to how they make you feel and the patterns of their behavior. Trust your instincts, seek advice from unbiased sources, and remember that your well-being should always come first. Moving forward, surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, not those who seek to control you for their gain. 2. Lack of empathy. Have you ever felt completely invisible? Like someone you care about doesn't even see your pain? Let me share a story that might hit close to home. A few years ago, I had a colleague named Jake who always seemed a bit distant, but I thought it was just his personality. We worked on several projects together, and I often found myself picking up the slack for him. Whenever I expressed feeling overwhelmed, Jake would brush it off with comments like, "You're just overreacting," or "Everyone's stressed out, deal with it." One time, I had a family emergency and needed to take a few days off work. I explained the situation to Jake, hoping for some understanding. Instead, he replied, "That's your problem, not mine. Just make sure the work gets done." His indifference cut deep, and I began to see how his lack of empathy affected not only me but also our entire team. The breaking point came during a critical project. I was working late hours, and Jake was completely unbothered by my exhaustion. When I confronted him about needing support, he coldly stated, "If you can't handle it, maybe this job isn't for you." It was then that I fully grasped his inability to understand or care about the struggles of others. He was exploiting my dedication without any remorse and constantly ignored the boundaries I tried to set. Realizing Jake's lack of empathy was a turning point for me. I spoke to our supervisor about the situation, emphasizing the need for a more supportive team environment. Eventually, Jake's behavior was addressed, and I sought out colleagues who genuinely cared about each other's well-being. If you're dealing with someone who shows a lack of empathy, it's crucial to recognize the signs: indifference to your suffering, exploitation, and boundary violations. Protect your mental health by setting clear boundaries and seeking support from those who respect and understand your feelings. Moving forward, prioritize relationships with people who show genuine empathy and compassion, and don't be afraid to speak up when you need to. 3. Constantly harmful actions. Have you ever felt like you're constantly under attack, as if someone in your life is determined to bring you down? A few years ago, I had a friend named Mark who seemed charming and supportive at first. However, as time went on, his true nature began to surface. He would make cutting remarks about my appearance and abilities, often disguising them as jokes. At first, I brushed it off, thinking he was just being playful, but the comments became more frequent and more hurtful. Mark's harmful actions escalated when he started sabotaging my efforts at work. Whenever I had a presentation or an important task, he'd find ways to undermine me. Spreading false rumors, forgetting to relay important information, or taking credit for my ideas. It was exhausting and demoralizing, but I couldn't understand why he was doing it. The turning point came when I overheard Mark talking to another colleague, boasting about how he enjoyed making others feel small because it made him feel powerful. His bullying and verbal abuse weren't just random acts. They were deliberate attempts to harm me emotionally and psychologically. Realizing that Mark's actions were intentional and malicious was a wake-up call. Armed with this new understanding, I decided to take action. I documented instances of Mark's harmful behavior and reported them to our HR department. I also sought support from trusted friends and colleagues who could validate my experiences and offer advice. With their help, I distanced myself from Mark and started focusing on my own well-being. If you find yourself dealing with someone who constantly engages in harmful actions, recognize the patterns: bullying, verbal abuse, and sabotage. Protect yourself by setting boundaries, seeking support from trusted individuals, and, if necessary, reporting their behavior to the appropriate authorities. Moving forward, prioritize your mental and emotional health by surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people who lift you up rather than tear you down. 4. Chronic dishonesty. Have you ever trusted someone completely? Let me share a story that might resonate with you. A few years ago, I had a close friend named Emily who seemed like the epitome of trustworthiness. She always had a knack for saying the right things and making grand promises. Emily assured me she would help me with a big project at work, and I felt relieved to have her support. However, as the deadline approached, her assistance never materialized. She always had a plausible excuse, and I ended up handling everything on my own. Things took a turn for the worse when I heard rumors about me spreading through our social circle. These rumors were damaging and completely untrue. I soon discovered that Emily was the source. When I confronted her, she denied everything and acted so hurt that I would even suspect her. Her chronic dishonesty was causing chaos in my life. The breaking point came when Emily betrayed my trust in a significant way. She had promised to help me secure an important opportunity by putting in a good word with a key contact. I later found out that not only had she not done this, but she had also bad-mouthed me to that person, undermining my chances. It became clear that Emily's habitual lying and deceitfulness were deliberate, manipulative, and harmful. Realizing the extent of Emily's chronic dishonesty, I decided to cut ties with her. I focused on rebuilding my reputation by being transparent and honest with those around me. I sought support from friends and colleagues who had proven their trustworthiness. I also made a conscious effort to trust my instincts and to be more discerning about who I allowed into my inner circle. If you find yourself dealing with someone who is habitually dishonest, recognize the patterns: false promises, spreading rumors, and betraying trust. Protect yourself by distancing yourself from such individuals and surrounding yourself with people who value honesty and integrity. Moving forward, trust your instincts and be cautious about who you place your trust in. Your well-being and peace of mind are worth it. 5. Blame shifting. Have you ever felt like you're always the one being blamed, even when it's not your fault? A few years ago, I worked with a colleague named Tom who had a knack for deflecting responsibility. Whenever a project hit a snag or something went wrong, Tom was quick to point fingers. At first, I thought he was just unlucky or misunderstood, but as time went on, a troubling pattern emerged. One particular incident stands out. We were working on a critical project with a tight deadline. I had completed my tasks on time, but Tom's sections were incomplete and riddled with errors. When our supervisor called us in for a meeting, Tom immediately started blaming me for the delays, claiming that I hadn't provided him with the necessary information. I was stunned, knowing I had been thorough in my communications and support. The turning point came when Tom's blame shifting began to affect my reputation. He consistently played the victim, portraying himself as the one struggling due to others' incompetence. It became evident that Tom's refusal to take responsibility for his actions was a deliberate tactic to avoid accountability. His constant need to find scapegoats and deflect criticism was not only unprofessional, but also damaging to the team's morale and productivity. Realizing the toxic nature of Tom's blame-shifting behavior, I decided to take action. I started documenting our interactions and my contributions to the projects. During another confrontation, I presented this evidence to our supervisor, highlighting the true source of the delays and issues. This helped clear my name and brought attention to Tom's pattern of behavior. If you find yourself dealing with someone who constantly shifts blame, it's crucial to recognize the signs. Always finding scapegoats, playing the victim, and deflecting criticism. Protect yourself by documenting your work and interactions, and don't hesitate to bring the issue to a higher authority if necessary. Moving forward, focus on being accountable and working with people who take responsibility for their actions, fostering a healthier and more productive environment. 6. Vindictiveness. Have you ever felt like someone was out to get you, no matter what you did? A few years ago, I had a coworker named Lisa who seemed friendly at first. We got along well until a minor disagreement over a project. I thought it was just a temporary misunderstanding, but Lisa's behavior changed drastically afterward. She started giving me the cold shoulder, making snide remarks, and undermining me at every opportunity. One day, I found out that Lisa had been spreading false rumors about me to our colleagues. She would make subtle digs during meetings, criticize my work behind my back, and even tried to sabotage my chances for a promotion. I couldn't understand why she was so intent on causing me harm over such a small disagreement. The turning point came when Lisa's vindictive actions escalated. She started plotting more overt ways to retaliate, including trying to get me involved in a serious workplace scandal that could have jeopardized my job. It was then that I realized her grudge had turned into a deep-seated resentment and a desire for revenge. Her actions were no longer just petty. They were harmful and malicious. Understanding the extent of Lisa's vindictiveness, I decided to address the issue head-on. I gathered evidence of her retaliatory actions and presented them to our HR department. They took the matter seriously, and Lisa was warned about her behavior. Meanwhile, I sought support from trusted colleagues and focused on maintaining my professionalism despite her attempts to bring me down. If you find yourself dealing with someone who is vindictive, recognize the signs. Holding grudges, seeking revenge, and harboring deep-seated resentment. Protect yourself by documenting any retaliatory actions and seeking support from superiors or HR if necessary. Moving forward, focus on your own integrity and surround yourself with people who value collaboration and positivity, rather than those who seek to harm others out of spite. 7. Enjoyment of others' misery. Have you ever felt like someone around you seems to enjoy your struggles? I had a colleague named Karen who always seemed to be around when things went wrong. At first, I thought it was just coincidence, but it became clear that Karen derived some sort of pleasure from my misfortunes. She would always have a smirk on her face whenever I faced setbacks or made mistakes at work. One particular incident stands out. I was working on a high-stakes project, and due to unforeseen circumstances, I missed a critical deadline. Karen was the first to know and the first to spread the news throughout the office. Instead of offering support or understanding, she seemed delighted by my failure, making sarcastic comments and amplifying the situation to others. The breaking point came when Karen started exacerbating conflicts between team members just for her amusement. She would instigate arguments, then sit back and watch as the chaos unfolded, clearly enjoying the tension and discord she created. I realized that her enjoyment of others' misery wasn't just passive. She actively sought out and created situations where she could relish in others' pain and failures. Understanding Karen's toxic behavior, I decided to distance myself from her as much as possible. I documented instances of her behavior and discussed them with my supervisor, who took steps to address the issue. I also made a conscious effort to build stronger, supportive relationships with other colleagues who valued teamwork and empathy. If you find yourself dealing with someone who enjoys others' misery, it's crucial to recognize the signs. Taking satisfaction in failures, spreading negativity, and instigating conflicts. Protect yourself by setting boundaries and seeking support from those who genuinely care about your well-being. Moving forward, surround yourself with positive influences and focus on fostering a supportive and empathetic environment. Your mental and emotional health are worth it. Dealing with behaviors like manipulation, lack of empathy, chronic dishonesty, blame shifting, vindictiveness, enjoyment of others' misery, or constantly harmful actions is crucial for maintaining a healthy environment. Here's a closing hook to encourage action. Recognizing these signs is not just about identifying the problem. It's about safeguarding your own well-being and fostering a positive environment. Take charge today. Set boundaries, seek support, and prioritize your mental and emotional health. Together, we can create spaces where empathy, honesty, and respect prevail. Implementing these steps empowers you to confront and manage toxic behaviors effectively, ensuring that you can thrive in environments that support your growth and happiness.